Thank you, Lauren. Members of the NTA governance team, campaign committee, members of the media, and above all this morning, good morning to all candidates. Welcome and congratulations. And the reason I'm stating congratulations, this is a victory by itself. It is an achievement by itself. And I'll tell you why, especially to the media and to the public to understand why. I have just a few short messages to give today, and one has to do with the reason why I can congratulate and commend you all for being here today. It has to do with something, two words that have been very silent putting into this campaign so far. It has to do with something called campaign financing. For decades, this country, we have been speaking about campaign financing, and this affects third parties more than anything else. And there's a reason for this. The PNM and the UNC, they have 250,000 supporters fully. There will always be 250,000 at PNM till are dead and 250,000 are born at UNC and are dead at UNC. And that is their right. But it is now confirmed by EBC that there are over 1 million registered voters. So they're talking about over 500,000 persons who are not blind PNM or UNC till they die. That is who we are supposed to represent. But this is where campaign financing comes in. We talk about corruption so often in this country, especially that 250,000 PNM till I die and the 250,000 are born at UNC and die at UNC. You're speaking about corruption, but to each and every supporter of that PNM and UNC support base, which I respect, in every general election campaign, there is indirect corruption, and we participate in it because we indirectly accept that form of corruption. To the 500,000 PNM and UNC till they die, I want to explain this to you and tell me how you can accept this. Every party, the PNM and UNC, in every general election, they have a budget of $100 to $150 million. It cannot be denied by them. I was there in the People's Partnership. And all you have to do is look at what you're seeing in the money being spent is $100 to $150 million that the PNM and the UNC get for every general election. Now you feel they get this money based on Good Samaritans cutting a check for $5,000 or $10,000. No, that's what the NTA gets. We get the Good Samaritans giving $5,000 or $10,000 because they are giving us that because they actually and honestly feel that we can be the best body that can deliver the best concept of a good governance and a good government. The PNM and the UNC, however, they don't get checks for 5,000 and 10,000. They get for 5 million and 10 million. And at times it is cash, so there's no paper trail. Do you think anyone in their right mind will give 5 million and 10 million to any political party because they feel that that political party is the best for government? No. The UNC acquired over $300 billion in the 5 years they were in government, 2010 to 2015. The PNM acquired over $600 billion over the last 10 years from 2015 to 2025. And they made many people filthy rich. And it's no fault of those persons who got the money, by the way. But thousands of millions were given on state contracts. And many in the private sector, they got hundreds of millions in a single contract. And they made tens of millions in net profits in all of these contracts. So the $5 and $10 million donation that you're getting based on this campaign financing is really PNM or UNC. We're not giving you this $5 or $10 million because we think you are the best avenue to provide me with my goods and services and needs as a citizen. That $5 and $10 million is we wish to thank you for the contracts you gave us while you were in government. And this is also, please remember me when you get back in government. And that, I think, is that I will ask the public, is that right? Is it ethical? Is this what PNM and UNC supporters will turn a blind eye to whilst accusing each other of corruption? And in other words, you don't need to go to Las Vegas. In Trinidad and Tobago, as a businessman, as a contractor, why go to Las Vegas when you have to select between black and white and there's a 50-50 chance you can double your money or you could lose? When all you need to do is come to Trinidad and Tobago politics, come to a general election, put $10 million on the PNM, put $10 million on the UNC, and in your first month, you're going to get a $50 million a month contract to double what you put in your first investment, and you have that for the next 4 years and 11 months, $50 million net profit. If that is not corruption, if that is not ethics, then what is, or lack of? And this is where I have a concern, where it is virtually a kickback that is given, and a promissory note for contracts on the condition that I will give you $10 million or $5 million or whatever. That is how they come up with their $100 and $150 million budget. And what is even more alarming is that all of this money is being thrown, and a lot of that does not actually go into the actual campaign. The same hierarchy of the major parties pocket some of this money as a profit that they can use. So if they're in opposition, they live in a comfortable manner for the next 5 years whilst we, the people, suffer. And sadly, this, however, can influence the outcome of a general election. And I'll give you a simple example. There's a party that was pumping money in San Fernando West, giving each person in HGC developments and stuff $350 not to vote because they know they can't get them to vote for their party. And it's over 1,000 persons they gave $350 to. That is bribery. That is corruption. They are given $350 not to vote. That's over $350,000 just wasted. That same party went to a meeting in a school auditorium in San Fernando. It was counted 98 maxi taxis. Each maxi taxi costs $1,000. And that was 20 persons by each maxi taxi multiplied by $300 given to each person to attend. So that's $600,000 you paid for people to attend. You pay over $100,000 for maxi taxis plus the food and whatever. So this political party spent over $1 million to get 1,800 people to fill a 2,000 hall auditorium in San Fernando. But what does this do? Is the cosmetic effect. It gives the impression, because people, you support winners. People go to a football game, they see the crowd is being there. People go to this carnival fete, they see people there. So this is an indirect message said, look, we filled the auditorium. So you all need to come and support us because we are going to win the election. And that can actually influence people. But that $1 million that they spent, where do you think it came from? It came from you, the taxpayers, because you, the taxpayers, have spent the money that they take your taxes. It goes into that massive state contracts of $100 million to build 2 box trains, and then it really cost about $50 million. And then they take the $50 million net profit, give the same government that is also a political party $10 million to tell them in future, make sure you give us more contracts when you get in government. And this is a thank you gift for giving us the contract in the first place. And we all sit down and we accept it. So the PNM and UNC till you die. I want to hear you all know, how can this be accepted? And then there's this group of the Council for Responsible Ethical Behavior. They have said nothing about it. But the audacity of all of this is one of the parties that heavily involved in this, they pulled out of that group. And then they had the audacity to pull out of the group, but then now you're sending reports to the same council for them to investigate a matter pertaining to another political party. So you do not want to be made accountable in the Council for Responsible Ethical Behavior, but you're sending reports to the Council for Responsible Ethical Behavior to investigate another political party. So I asked those in authority, this same council, the media, I need you to note and monitor the vulgar spending that is taking place on campaign financing. And to the citizens, look how this money is being thrown away. Your taxpayers' dollars. All of this is being spent by the major parties. And if this happens now, whilst they are a political party, this is exactly how they intend to operate in government. The sad thing, Trinidad and Tobago, is that this actually filters to the candidates of these political parties. The NTA, we had a candidate that came to us with the audacity to say that he wanted $200,000 for his campaign. $100,000 for election day machinery and $100,000, for campaign financing. And he's not going to give us any bills. So if you operate like that as a candidate, imagine what happens when this candidate becomes a member of parliament. And this happens in the same manner for the PNM and UNC members of parliament, maybe not all. But if you start in this manner through unethical, illegal, inappropriate campaign financing whilst you're just a political party and a candidate, God knows how you're going to operate when you get in government as a member of parliament or, heaven forbid, a minister. So it starts here. It starts in a general election of ethics, good behavior. And the difference, however, is that, again, it's unfortunate that because of this, the NTA, we have not been able to field 41 candidates because we don't have the $5 and $10 million checks given, because we have never been in government to give out that handout. Not that we would have done it. But the difference of it, so I wish to apologize to the other 22 odd constituencies that will not have an NTA candidate. I do wish to apologize. We do wish and hope that you will continue to give us the support required. And To the NTA, however, our style in trying to win an election and to ensure good governance is different to the political parties that are going to spit over $100 to $150 million in a campaign. We utilize creativity, innovation, and human capital to acquire public support. Others, they will be blowing big money. We intend to focus on looking at the quality of the candidates. Let them focus. We will continue to focus, however, on doing what is right for the betterment of the nation. That is the difference between us and them. I want to go to a second point that many people believe is trivial, but I have a concern about it, and I will stand firm on it. And it may step on toes. It has to do with stealing of political party colors. Now, someone stated that the reason why she has done that is because blue, God love you. That is her reason. Huh? So you didn't know that God loved you for the 36 years when you were wearing yellow. Now, all of a sudden, you realize God love you now. And what is sad is that this has to be a banana republic that this is taking place. You could ever see, people are trying to justify to state, well, it's not your color, it doesn't belong to you. You all know about the Republicans and the Democrats. You could ever believe in a developed country. Republicans could say one day, you know, we have been in red for hundreds of years, but you know what? I now realize blue, God love you. Because that was Kamala's reason for this. So the Republicans will now say, look, we're going to start wearing blue. And the Democrats will have no say in it. And the Republicans will say, well, we're free to wear what we want. Is a free country. That is the stupid defense by UNC fanatics to justify stealing the colors of another political party. So how could people say that is okay? How you could say that is fine? You are stealing the political colors of another political party. Had you been working hand in hand with us, side by side, we are jointly as a unified force and an alliance, we could understand that. That's when in the local government election we look like a carry bottle. We had blue and yellow, but we are not a carry bottle anymore. Blue is NTA, yellow is the UNC. You spent 36 years in the yellow, stay with your color. The UNC's, the audacity of the UNC to justify, well, anybody could wear this. God, heaven forbid if the UNC was ever a football team and you go to play a football match and you tell, and the other side say they go and wear blue. UNC will pull up in blue and say, we wear in blue too because you didn't own blue. That is how stupid this is. Let me continue. Yeah, well, you never know that. They might possibly do that. So this is going to confuse citizens in walkabouts, not knowing which party it is. Is the intention to fool is it to fool and deceive others? You could also look at people that are saying that it's okay, it is their right to take blue. Heaven forbid, suppose the PNM decided to wear yellow. What would the UNC have said? They wouldn't be saying the same thing, and rightly so. There's a reason why in politics people have political colors, and we could even go to criminal and illegal activity, which is what the point I'll come to shortly, where it is that people could be defacing private property, putting up posters, whatever, being involved in fights, being on the corner, smoking weed or whatever. And then when you see the blue, you will say it's NTA. You can't do it. We are going in a general election campaign and you could steal a party colors. If you could steal a party colors, God knows what is going to happen when you get in the treasury. But I could tell you and see one thing, you could steal our color. You cannot steal our character because that is something built within us. Speaking of which, I'll go into my third point, which has to do with defacing private property during the general election campaign. This is something that has gone on for decades in this country. We have sat back and we have allowed it to happen. And they will put posters, but PNM and UNC solely, on lampposts, on streetlights, on walls, on the roads. And it is a disgrace. It is an embarrassment. The only time it ever stopped was when I was commissioner of police in the 2020 general election. And I said, anybody doing that, I'm going to lock you up. And it stopped. And thankfully, it's only the member of parliament for Diego Martin Northeast, that constituency is after 5 years, still vote PNM on the road. But we didn't find them. And it is wrong. It is illegal. So to all the persons who are in senior positions in political parties, understand that what you're doing, it is not appropriate. You can't be so desperate to want to win an election and you're breaking the law. You can't be so desperate to win an election and you're defacing private property and you're doing something that is unacceptable. So I will ask three groups here during this campaign. One, citizens of this country, understand that anytime you see anyone painting vote PNM or vote UNC or vote whatever on the roads, put in posters, whatever, that person is breaking the law. I ask you to call the police immediately. Two, to the police officers, There were police officers I saw years before. They will see people putting it up and drive away. They are breaking the law. Lock them up. And three, to the hierarchy of these political parties, be mature, be professional, and understand that if it is you cannot expect to want to get in government and you're doing something to break the law to get into government. So I ask all political parties, citizens, and the police, please let us understand this and let us make sure that come April the 29th, we will not be littered with the filth of seeing posters and stickers and banners all over lampposts and streetlights and on the roads. And my final point has to do to all candidates and to the public. We keep hearing this nonsense that the NTA, we cannot get 21 seats, so we cannot form the government. It's one thing, the UNC trolls who get paid $75 a day. I mean, they really don't do research. They really don't do their homework. I would like to send that message to the 500,000 non-PNM or UNC till they die to understand, so to not the ketchup or mustard till they die, but to those people who are independent thinkers, those persons who are looking for the best option, the best avenue. I ask you to recall 1995. It was 17-17-2. And in that 17-17-2, it was A.N.R. Robinson who decided who was to be in government, and he became part of the government. So do not be fooled with the nonsense to say that we cannot get 21 seats, but you need 21 seats to form a government. I can go on. There's a government in the Caribbean. I'm going to look for some young people here. Christine, Lauren, remind which? Oh, Gus. There was a country where I think it was 771. And that third party asks, who is going to make me prime minister? Thank you very much. I knew I wanted to see if you remember. So, and that is a simple example. And then again, we could go on to Trinidad and Tobago. It is quite possible it could be 2021. And if it becomes 2021, the NTA will decide who we will work with to be in the next government. And let me add, we may very well be in a position, this is not going to be a Gary Griffith decision, this will be a decision based on our governance team and our candidates to decide which direction we go. And the direction we may very well need to go is to understand and look at both political parties and ascertain their moral and spiritual values, similar to what A.N.R. Robinson did in 2001. That is how we would operate. So to all persons, do not speak about us having a wasted vote if you vote for the NTA. We may very well be the catalyst, the pendulum towards decided which is the next government. The nonsense that you continue to hear about splitting of the votes, I have never heard something so ridiculous in my life. There's no such thing as a split vote. No vote belongs to any political party because you're not supportive of the PNM. When you think like that, it shows arrogance, it shows obnoxious behavior, and it shows you see anybody that is smaller than you as being irrelevant. Anytime you think like that, it means you're not deserving to be a prime minister. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, have a very good morning. And again, as I close, I will ask all NTA candidates, let us keep it clean. Let us do not do as we see others will be doing over the next few weeks. They are going to try to get into government based on hate, based on character assassination, based on dividing the country. I ask you all, please focus on showing the plans, the policies, the principles, and the political will to show that we have the capability not to govern the country, but to serve the country. Nothing else is needed. With that, I thank you, and I now open the floor for questions from the media. And I'm asking media from now, I'm not answering any questions about Roger Alexander. I'm giving it from now. So don't even go down that road. This is a meeting about the NTA. God, I spoil your party there. I know that. The good thing about military, always understand what the person is about to do. It's a preemptive strike. Sure. A combination of both. Had there been financiers who will cut $5 and $10 million checks, which I really do not want, because when you pay that, there's going to be a price to pay. You're going to be indebted to them, and it's going to be payback. We don't want to have to pay back to anyone when we become part of the next government. So other political parties will gladly take that $5 and $10 million cash keep it in their back pocket, and now there's going to be payback. That has always been the problem. That has been an avenue and a catalyst towards corruption in our country. So because of that, our hands are not tied. It allows us to be very independent when we do tender process and so forth when we get into government. But because of that, it means that without that type of budgetary allocation, it makes it difficult to go after 41 seats. Whilst at the same time, we ascertain that these 15 odd seats, we think that it is best suited. We have the capability to do a lot of harm to both political parties, political harm that is, and gives us an opportunity to win those seats. We can refer to the 3 Diego Martin seats, for example. In 2010, it was neck and neck. It is the only reason we did not win those seats was because of the poor planning and tactical ability by Kamala Persad-Bissessar to totally ignore the 3 Diego Martins and not have one major political meeting in the 3 Diego Martins. Had she done that, had she put some degree of effort, Keith Rowley, Amory Brown, and Colin Imbert would have lost their seats. It would have been 32-9, and it would have given us the opportunity for constitutional reform that could have changed it to first past the post, and PNM would have never been in government again. But because of Kamala's lack of understanding that there is life east and west of Grand Bazaar, Kamala, one day you will understand that. And if you understood that, the PNM would have never been in government again. We would have been able to change the process. So right now, in 2010, it was just about 500 odd votes lost by persons in the People's Partnership known as Rocky Garcia, Garvin Nicholas, and Miss Nicolaya Griffith. And they lost by just 500 votes because it was a 2-horse race. It is going to be a 2-horse race again this time around. So, and we have very good candidates in Marsha Walker, Russell Chan, and we are going to have another candidate in Diego Martin Northeast. So in a 2-horse race, you're going to get the majority of the UNC voters and the COP, NTA, ONR, NAR, ABC, XYZ, whatever you call it. And in this period now, there's a new kid on the block in the PNM, so he's very green. So there's no degree of I am beholden to Keith Rowley. Likewise, with Colin Imbert being there after 15 years, every single year they hated him more in that area. It's my constituency as well. Same thing with Russell Chan and Diego Martin Central. So there's a very good chance there can be an upset, because the reason I'm saying there's a 2-horse race is that the third party that they're involved in is a political party that has lost every single deposit in every single election that he has taken part in. That's PEP. And so it is amazing when people speak about the value of PEP. When Kamala Persad-Bissessar says he has the base in Diego Martin, Kamala, one day, please, there's a place called Diego Martin. You need to come and visit it one day in your 80-something, whatever years you live in this country. Understanding Diego Martin, the man has lost every single deposit in every single election. And she says that the audacity of him having a part to play. So it's going to be a 2-horse race. And in that 2-horse race, if there's a 2-horse race similar to 2010, similar to 1986, in a 2-horse race, in 1986, they lost Diego Martins, in fact. And the only time there's been a 2-horse race is that it will be either very close or they would have lost. As we move on to St. Joseph, again, if it is that blowing car horns and hugging me up is votes, the PNM and UNC will probably lose their deposit in St. Joseph as well. But it doesn't work that way. I know how it is. But there could very well be an upset in St. Joseph. We would have seen the same in other areas. We have very good candidates. I would challenge the PNM and the UNC to match us, mano a mano, to debate with our individuals. We'll beat them hands down. But they will not do that. They're afraid. So you are two big parties and you don't want to debate with us. I would love to have a debate with Prime Minister Stuart Young, Kamala Persad-Bissessar if she gets up, and myself. And I would love to have these debates. But they won't do it. So you want to be a prime minister and you are afraid to have a debate with fellow political leaders. This political leader will work 5 and 6 hours every single day with his candidates. Other political leaders, they do not have the ability. Well, maybe Stuart Young can match me probably. But this is our first you're going to see where a political leader could walk up in the Scorpion. I walked up in the Scorpion recently. They said it's the first time they saw a commissioner of police, a minister of national security, and a political leader up in Scorpion. That is the type of style we have. We are going to make ourselves accessible. There would be other seats we are still looking at. It's still Diego Martin Northeast, St. Anne's East, St. Augustine, Samoa, Barataria. We also intend to have conversations with other political parties. We are still doing it. I would have seen what took place. Let me take this opportunity. I try not to get involved in the bacchanal of other political parties. We don't have that bacchanal. But democracy is one when you as a political party, it is your right to be able to participate in an independent democratic process, say to be in a national executive. That is your democratic right. Anytime somebody is upset because you have now exercised your democratic right to be in a national executive and you get upset about it and you remove that person as a member of parliament, it shows that your political party is no longer a democratic one. And I'm not calling the UNC's name on this, I'm not calling names, but you cannot say that it is somebody has applied just to be in your national executive and there's no competition at the time to contest the political leadership. But because you just applied to be in a national executive, Parry, Anita, Rambali, Rai, and Rodney get out because you took part in a NATEX to apply to be in a position in contrast to the people who I want. That is not democracy. That is hypocrisy. And if you operate like that as a political party, it means you're going to operate in the same manner in government. So I wish to take this opportunity. That again is what I call political domestic violence. That is how Vasan Bharat, Ramona Ramdayal, Devon Maraj, Kevin Ramnaran have all been treated. That is why they're leaving by the thousands. This, I take the opportunity that the NTA, our doors are open. We are welcoming each and every one. So Rushton Parry, Anita, Rai, Rambali, Rodney Charles, the doors are open and the seats are there for you to be part and parcel of the NTA. Any other questions? That's it? Okay, thank you very much.